United States will be the first country in the world to open up high-band spectrum for 5G networks and applications. And that's damn important.
And now, lawmakers are going out of their way to not only get 5G installed throughout the nation and the world, they are doing it very quietly. Most communities receiving the technology don't even know about it. Multiple efforts to pass legislation allowing transmitter installation on existing towers, as well as public right-of-ways, conservation areas, greenways, and even neighborhoods are being pushed through without input from those communities. Further, many of those bills take the additional step of banning local governments from being able to pass their own laws limiting or preventing said installation. In North Carolina, for example, local government representatives worked with industry stakeholders in secret to draft a bill with no input from the public. The bill's sponsor, Representative Jason Saine, is on record as receiving large campaign contributions from the industry. Not all lawmakers are on board, though. A former aerospace engineer, Senator Patrick Colbeck, addressed the long list of health concerns known to be causes by EMF and cell phone radiation, and urged his fellow lawmakers not to rush 5G.
These adverse health impacts are the youngest among us because their blood-brain barrier has not been fully developed. That's why people are concerned about that. I know there's a convenience issue. I'm addicted to this stuff myself, right? This is an issue where I love the convenience of having wireless access. But I also know that in Article 4, Section 51 of our Michigan Constitution, our primary concern is supposed to be the health of our citizens. That is supposed to be the primary concern.
It is also worth noting that several countries have more stringent rules on cell phone radiation than the U.S., including China, Russia, Italy, France, and India. More than 190 experts have expressed concern about the health risks of 5G wireless networks and urged the industry to delay implementing the technology until it can be evaluated by independent researchers. But those pleas have fallen on deaf ears. Nowadays, 95 out of 100 Americans and 3 out of 4 adults worldwide have cell phone access. That's more than 5 billion people. The wireless industry is one of the fastest growing industries on the planet, with sales increasing every year. Like big tobacco and big oil, the industry manipulates the science to make it appear as though scientists don't agree and the research is inconclusive. It is a highly orchestrated disinformation campaign designed to protect the profits of a multi-billion-dollar industry. So with solid evidence of real health dangers, why is none of this ever on the news? Obviously, there's a lot of money at stake, but that doesn't explain the sneaky, underhanded tactics the government and lawmakers have gone to push through the new 5G technology before people even know it's being installed in their neighborhoods. Previously filed under conspiracy theory, the body of evidence proving the dangers EMF radiation and the risks of using cell phones and smart devices is becoming too big to ignore any longer. And still, the corporate-owned media keeps silent. Will independent journalists, so often accused of spreading fake news when they stray from the accepted narrative, be receiving any kudos or acknowledgement of the service they have provided? Most likely not. Mike Adams, publisher of Science.News and Health.News, has been warning about the dangers for over a decade. He says that for years, the mainstream media insisted there was no link between cell tower radiation and brain tumors, effectively putting billions of people at risk and costing an unknown number of innocent lives. So why the media blackout? What's the real reason behind the push for this untested technology? We know it's all about the money. But we're not just talking about the infrastructure and new phones. It turns out that 5G, with its MIMO technology and lightning-fast speeds, will allow devices to communicate with each other better, seamlessly, and effortlessly. Which means you won't even realize that your devices are sharing information with each other, as well as other people. Namely, corporations that want your data for marketing and surveillance. They are setting up to collect massive amounts of your private data. This is the technology that will allow automatic, real-time, online surveillance of everything. and everyone. That's where the money and the motivation to spread this technology is coming from. But at what cost? In all the research on EMF radiation, it has also been discovered that children's brains absorb twice the EMF radiation that adult brains do. And by today's norms for cell phone usage, it's fair to say that most youth over the age of 10 or 12 would qualify as heavy users. Studies have linked behavioral problems as well as mental health problems in children to EMF radiation. Furthermore, cell phone use is hindering the development of social skills. Experts warn parents that heavy smartphone use is actually linked to increased social isolation, as well as depression and suicide. This is due in large part to a smartphone-derived phenomenon, cyberbullying. Statistics from the CDC show that suicide and depression rates have soared over the last decade, in sync with the increase in smartphone use. And as we grow ever more dependent on these devices, we give up our autonomy as well as our ability to think. If you're concerned that millennials are too easily led and self-centric, wait until the next generation enters the workforce. Their entire identities are online, and they are being manipulated from a very early age into thinking and acting a certain way, like members of a hive, capable of only groupthink as defined by their platforms of choice. These kids won't even know anything else but being controlled, and the social consequences for straying from the hive are great. Big Tech is already deciding what is real news and what is fake news, who can have a voice and who cannot. They are already able to track our movements in the real world and online, and market products to us accordingly. With the personal data that 5G will give them, they would have the capability to help the socialist left regime realize their ultimate goal of turning the United States into the next communist China. 5G will grant the bandwidth to track all of our activities and behaviors, online and off. Soon, like Chinese citizens, we may find ourselves needing social credit in order to travel or shop or go to school or get a job. And it will be too late then to stop it. To limit exposure, you can develop these habits to limit your exposure to EMF radiation and electropollution. Send text when you can instead of talking on the phone. When you do talk on the phone, use speakerphone or headphones and hold the device away from your body, and keep conversations short. Never carry your cell phone against your skin. Do not sleep with it near your bed. Remember that children's brains are still developing and you need to minimize their exposure. To fight 5G being installed in your community, contact your federal, state, and local government representatives to share your concerns and ask for them to slow the process. Review the evidence and think about better protections and more research. Spread the word with neighbors and friends and encourage them to take action as well. Otherwise, with so many pollution crises facing society today, such as the trash in the oceans, the heavy metals in the water, and pesticides in our food, will electropollution awareness gain the traction it needs to affect change?
It's important to understand what the 5G is doing and what they say it's doing. We're told on the IEEE beamforming document that this technology cooked your eyes like eggs in World War II. And you all need to understand these are military weapons. These are assault frequencies. If you garner nothing more than that, that's what you need to know. It's microwave radiation warfare, is what this is.
Do you want to tell us just what's just happened?
Well, basically, I got off the bus, I'm on my way to work, I'm walking down, I'm rushing because I'm late, and the police have stopped me, saying that I'm acting dodgy, putting my hand in my pocket and rushing. mate, I'm late for work. Now, obviously, I'm rushing. All the people got their hands in their pockets. You see none of them getting stopped. You know what I mean? And I literally worked right there, and I even said it to them, listen, mate, I'm on my way to work. They stopped me, they searched me, took me in the van, searched me again, and then as I left, they searched the van to see if I dropped anything.
We are confident, we have tested our algorithms and they've been independently tested, so there is no bias in terms of ethnicity with this algorithm.